We're going to build the best football team in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same times, fresh after Christmas, holidays, whatever you celebrate.
Ho,
How
ho,
y'all boys
ho.
feeling? Dan's
Man,
feeling like ho, ho, hoes.
I'm exhausted. I just spent a 2-day drive that should have taken about 16 hours back from Pennsylvania to Dog, and we had some stops on the way that took me almost 25 over the course of 2 days. So I am beat. I am absolutely beat today, but ready to pod with you boys. But had a great Christmas. We talked a little bit about it last time. Got to spend some time in New York City, spent some time in Pennsylvania. Had a really nice thing, or Christmas. So really enjoyable time. So good weather, good vibes. My first ever cold Christmas. So that was a fun little adventure. Nick, what about you, buddy? Got your Masters quarter zip on today too, huh?
There you go. Yeah, I was in Daytona. It was the first time I was away from family. Dad ended up testing positive for COVID. So shout out to Dad. Props to him. Says he's doing great, feeling fine. He's going to beat it. But probably good that I wasn't home for Christmas. First time ever. Was in Daytona with the girlfriend's family. Then we were up in Yulee today. Shout out to Heisman winner, 2,000-yard rusher Derrick Henry. Then back to Daytona, picked up the dogs, and then back to Gainesville. So didn't drive as far as Dan, but also spent much of my day in a car.
Like the rest of America.
Yeah, S&G been on the road this weekend. Yeah, I'm up in Atlanta, man. Still hanging out. Still spending some Christmas. We up here to New Year's Eve. Just been hanging out, kicking it, man, having a good time at my brother's in Marietta. I love Atlanta, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Talk to me about the lesson that Harlem had to learn on the blacktop. Didn't know Dad had the crossover or the under the basket left hand. I was impressed.
He didn't even want to see the video. My brother got video footage. He didn't want to see the video, the pictures of none of my moves. I crossed him over. He fell on his knees. They got filthy out there on the court, man.
It's a hard lesson to learn. To learn, but you got to learn it.
We go to the court all the time, but I usually just let him do his thing. He thinks I'm an old man that can't do anything, so I had to get out there and do some Allen Iverson moves on him and show him what's up.
That's a beautiful little backyard basketball court there. Is that your brother's house?
Yeah. He got a nice
No,
crib
not
up
bad.
here in Marietta. Shout out to the
bad.
Chief. Chief Noble's got a nice pad up here. It's all right.
I was telling my girlfriend's parents, my grandpa on my mom's side used to mercilessly beat me in whatever we were playing, whether it was checkers, Clue, anything. I think he would even cheat to beat me when I'm like 8 years old. But it makes when you actually then beat them in checkers, or that when Harlem can beat you in a game of pickup, it makes it that much better because they know, okay, well, I earned that.
Right. My uncle used to do that to me, but it damaged me as a kid. I hate him. I hate that guy. He used to just drag me all around the court, bully ball me, old man ball me in the post.
He's just throwing elbows in your gut.
Yeah. I got to the point where I never tried to beat him. I was just like, man, this guy fouls and just bully balls, man. I'm a kid. He got like prison moves. Yeah.
He's got prison moves.
Other than that, man, we got New Year's on the horizon, man. Let's get into. We'll talk about New Year's a little later. Let's get into the show. I think we got quite the show today, right, Dan? Dance o'clock.
We sure do. Yeah, we sure do. So a couple things. First, I want to thank everybody. I put some a tweet out there about some prayers about my mom. She's going through a couple things. It looks like she is on the straight and narrow, and that she should be all right. But we had a scare a couple days before Christmas down in South Florida. So I appreciate everybody that reached out. A lot of people reached out, DM'd me that I don't know at all, and checked in and asked about her consistently. So thank you. And it wouldn't be right if we continued the show without also doing a brief moment of silence to 2021 quarterback recruit Robbie Roper, who passed away days before Christmas as well. So if we can just take a brief moment of silence for Robbie Roper and the tragic and sudden loss that we had. All right. Again, the Roper family is in our prayers. Well, we've got a very exciting show today. We've former Florida Gator linebacker Patrick Miller that's going to join the show today. Also coached at Gainesville High School for those of you Gainesville and Alachua natives. But before we do that, Silk, give a quick shout out to Greg Brunton. We'll bring Patrick right on the show.
Stadium Miguel is brought to you by the great folks at Brun Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you need insured, from the Panhandle to the Keys, visit bruninsurance.com and give my man a call at 954-589-2204. Greg and Brun Insurance is the best of the best when it comes to insuring your car, home, auto, life, or trailer, motorcycle, business, anything you may need insured. 954-589-2204 or bruninsurance.com. Big coverage, big policies. Greg, what it do?
Awesome. Thanks, Silk. Patrick Miller, it's a pleasure to invite you on to the show. Former Florida Gators linebacker in the early 80s. In the Charlie Pell era, was drafted in the 5th round of the NFL draft. Currently is now the defense coordinator at Mosley High School. I want to give a quick shout out to Patrick. Patrick, welcome to the show, my friend.
I appreciate y'all inviting me on. How you guys doing?
Absolutely.
Patrick, we knew you weren't going to be late. You played for Charlie Pell, so we knew there would be no we're waiting on the guest tonight. No way.
Nah, none of that, man. I mean, I still live by CP time, you know. Them stadiums at 5 o'clock in the morning, you don't like them, so you set your watch 5 minutes fast, as always.
That's right. Well, Patrick, man, we absolutely appreciate you coming on to the show today. But before we get into your time playing with Charlie Pell and everything else, you were recruited in the early 80s. Recruiting now and you being involved in high school football now is certainly quite a bit different. But how did you ultimately end up at the University of Florida?
Well, I mean, I had been going to camps at UF, you know, since I was in the 7th grade. And, you know, my cousin Fernando Jackson, one of the greatest linebackers UF had, was also already on the team. And so me coming down, I got to know the guys real well. And then, you know, Coach Pell and them, after the Florida State game, they pulled me in the locker room, and that was right after the Lindsey Scott deal. And he just basically told me, he said, hey, if we had you on the team, you know, Lindsey Scott wouldn't have broke that. And so right then, I was locked in, and I was a Gator.
Perfect. Well, talk to us a little bit about what recruiting was like. So obviously you had a connection back to the University of Florida. You had a connection into Charlie Pell. But obviously I'm sure you were recruited by a lot of other schools. What was being recruited in the early 80s like? There wasn't as much game film that was out there. There were certainly no Rivals and Scout and ESPN. How did you get your name out there? And how did schools get their names out to you?
Well, you know, I know that when I was doing my class and everybody that signed with Florida, all of us was at camp. You know, for 2 years in a row, we were all at camp. I mean, there were other guys that signed elsewhere. Craig Swoop, who signed with Illinois, Brent Forward, who signed with Auburn. They were also at camp, but the majority of us were all at camp at Florida. And, you know, that's how they actually really recruited us heavy. Got us all to camp. We was there for a week, got a chance to stay on campus, you know, work with the coaches one-on-one. Built some bonds and relationships with guys, and you know, and that's how it all ended up for the majority of my class that we signed.
Awesome. Where else were you recruited? Did you guys do the visits the same way? Obviously, I know you did a lot of camps, but
yeah, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, USC, Arkansas. You know, I was getting letters LSU from everybody. Yeah. You know, Tennessee, they actually was recruiting me for football and track. I was, you know, recruited heavy by Arkansas, and then the defensive back coach left and went to USC. and that's how that came along. But it really wasn't a choice, I'd already locked in. I was, since the 10th grade, I wanted to be a Gator. And after my 11th grade year, in that locker room full of coaches and everybody sitting there, and when they all said that, there was nothing else to talk about. As a lot of these recruits always say now, they felt comfortable. Well, I knew I was going to be at home.
Real quick, Patrick, before you move on, you're a linebacker. What did you participate in track?
Well, I was a 100 meters, 200 guy, long jump. But here's the thing: people don't realize how Florida recruited. I was a big defensive back. I was 200-pound cornerback. My speed allowed me to be able to cover guys in high school. But at that time, Coach Pelton was doing something different. They were taking guys who played in the safety area and moving to outside linebacker, and guys who played outside linebacker, they moved to defensive tackle. That's how Wilbur Marshall, he was a tight end. He got moved to outside linebacker. They was already a revelation, the game, the game now, and then if you go back and look at UM, when they was winning all those national titles,
right?
They moved their guys around. So everybody, they took from what, Coach Pell and Joe Kynes, Dwight Adams, Mickey Andrews, Mike Shanahan, Mike Holgram. I mean, all those guys, that's what they did. They moved us around, put us in athletic positions, and we played.
What was the transition like from cornerback to linebacker? You get
my God.
You get to college campus now. You gotta tackle grown men.
That's the funniest story forever. Came down the locker room one day and got to the locker, and I looked. And I said, "Well, this is not my helmet. This big old face mask." And then I looked at his jersey, and I was like, "Where's the 31?" It said 98. By that time, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Coach Pell want to see you." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I tried to figure out if I did something wrong because Coach Pell didn't play that game. Got to the office and, he looked at me. He said, "We're moving you to linebacker. If you don't like it, pack your bags, take your ass home." I said, "Well, where's the linebacker room?" I went to the linebacker room, and the next day we had a scrimmage. And so, got out on the field, and Coach Adams was coaching outside linebackers. And he said, "Today, Bo," he called everybody Bo. He said, "Today, Bo, we're going to make you a linebacker." And I took every snap. And so by the end of the day, I understood what it was to be a linebacker. So it was a long transition. I mean, from having to take on offensive linemen, learning how to get people off you with your hands, and in secondary, it's about your footwork and understanding, not letting people stack you, people get on top of you, but up front they're already on top of you. So it was took me about a good 2 weeks to really understand what I was doing. But I had some great coaches, and the scheme was perfect, because I was still covering tight ends and covering backside the backfield. I was playing on the weak side. So wasn't until I think maybe about, 5th week into it, they started putting me over the tight end. And that's when I started learning how to play up on the line of scrimmage. But it was quite a transition. But it really made me a better football player.
I have a question. You coach young men now at the high school level, guys who will get recruited. We have Mahmoud Diabate, who has had position changes since he's been at Florida. Can you handle today's student athlete that way, or do you have to kind of handle them differently than Coach Pell just saying, like, "Listen, here's your new position, your new room, or you can go find another school"?
Well, you really can't handle athletes like that today. I mean, I hate to say it like that. When they started putting stars on these guys, it really made it hard for coaches. And so with all the different, I guess you can say, when they started saying, you got to treat the players differently, and I'm going to use it in that term, it really made it hard. But today you wouldn't be able to do that, because the guys coming in and they already think they're a superstar. They have these stars on them, and they feel like, their next step is to the NFL, and they don't realize that stands for not for long. So, it's a little bit different these days. And I don't think half of these guys would have been able to play during the era that I played in. Practice were longer, more physical, more demanding. It was hot, and you didn't really have a choice. You either do it or go home. Now they jump into the transfer protocol. I was joking the other day, and somebody was talking about commitment, and no one commits these days. If you commit, you stay in for 4 years, 3 to 4 years. Now they stay 1 year and they out of there. So that word doesn't mean anything. So I don't really think the players that play the game today, they could survive during those times when, in the 80s and in the early 90s.
So Patrick, I want to go back to your time, back at UF. You just get on the campus. You're there from 82 to 84. That's really when UF is starting to take off in their ascension. You have a lot of big names. You obviously have Charlie Pell as the head coach. You have Mike Shanahan, offensive coordinator. But on that team, you had, Dwayne Dixon, Lorenzo Hampton, Mike Malarkey, John L. Williams. You have a bunch of names, just on offense. Obviously, Wilbur Marshall, the elder Vernell Brown. So you had a lot of names. What was that transition like from high school, into college? And then when did you really start to get into your groove in the collegiate game?
Well, we called it little fish, big fish back then. Because, you came out of high school and you were the big fish, but then all of a sudden you get like at the school at UF and you're a little fish among a whole bunch of other fish. And, that transition was kind of hard because you had to find your way in, and that meant what you did in the weight room, what you did in conditioning, what you did during your tests, how you practice, that determined whether you play or not. If you wasn't putting out, you weren't going to play because the people in front of you. I mean, you can go back and look at our stats, and I think our defense at that time, we only averaged 40 snaps a game. So we were playing 2 units. So that means you were on the field maybe, 15, 20 snaps. And if you didn't get down, the person behind you was going to get down. So you didn't have a choice. So, we had players, man. I mean, like you said, look in that backfield. You had Lorenzo Hampton, John L. Neil Anderson. Then behind them, you had the likes of Joe Henderson. And then you had guys coming up like Anthony Williams. I remember very clearly, one of my freshman brothers made it very clear to everybody, hey, we're here to take everybody's position. And, and I think by the end of my freshman year, it was like 6 of us starting. So you had the ball. It was no choice. And if you didn't play.
Pat, we as fans kind of complain about this era of social media and the players, the way they use it after a win, before a win. But I think you guys had the luxury of having no social media and having a little privacy. Give us some stories about Gainesville and your day and what the vibes was like. Social media free, and you guys will have a little bit more freedom than the guys do have.
Gainesville is not Gainesville anymore. I hate to say it like that. I like Gainesville. I've lived here and went to college here. But when I was here, it was the small town. It was just the University of Florida. And, everybody knew who you were. So you always had to be on your P's and Q's. You had to understand where you were. You got taken care of regardless of where you went to eat or whatever. But
recruiting violations. I like it.
No, it wasn't no recruiting violation because we did pay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
They paid.
But it was just different. It was all about football. The entire town. Everybody was about the Gators. And now it's not really like that. I can't recall when I was here in school anybody flying a Florida State flag in Gainesville. Now you see UM flags, Florida State flags. That wasn't going on back then. Back then, it was all about the Gators, and it's a lot of different reasons why people say that happened. But the social media we didn't have cell phones. We had phones in our dorm in Yon Hall, and you can hit one key and all the phones will ring. So it was a little bit different than that time. But now social media is really taking off, and it's putting. I think it put a lot of pressure on these young guys. I think that a lot of people don't understand how to use it. If they put too much of the business out there. If you got an issue, go to your coach, go behind closed doors, talk it out like a young man to a man, and work it out. But now you airing it out to the public, and then everybody else chiming in. So that doesn't help the situation.
Feel free to say next question to me here, but which one of your teammates would not have done well in the social media era? Would
Myself.
have
Myself. I can tell you that.
Very good.
I can name. I don't think Wilbur Marshall would have did well. I know Fred McAllister wouldn't have did well. I know Adrian White wouldn't have did well. No, they had to keep us in.
It sounds like you guys were good, not having Twitter, not having Instagram.
Hey, teenagers, man.
We were together one time, and we were talking about how ESPN do these 30-30s, and they always talking about UM. And then somebody said, well, they should do one on us. And somebody said, no, they do not need to do one on us because that will not go by good. So, yeah, none of us would have did good. The only person I think would have did good would have been Kerwin Bell, Neil Anderson, and maybe Wayne Peace.
What's the expression? Let dead bodies lie. Like, don't need ESPN and 30 for 30 coming and digging up and finding receipts and things like that.
They don't need that. Yeah, because it was a rule. Like Coach Pell said, what goes on in Yon Hall stays in Yon Hall. Don't let it out of there. And you get in trouble, you got to pay the piper. So it was good for us. We looked out for each other. We just try to really stay within each other. When we had Yon Hall, we had pool tables down there, foosball. We played a lot of backgammon, dominoes. We just stayed within house. And then if we did go out, we were always together, and we came back together. So those times changed. The University of Florida had Rights Union, we had frat parties. Everything took place. I mean, I remember my fraternity, we had a party, and it was right before the Florida Relays. Well, they called me to the door and said the guy trying to get in, and so I said, yeah, you gonna let him in? It was Bo Jackson. He came in, partied, hung out. Next day, went to Florida Relays and I ran everybody. So it was a little different during those times.
Bo Jackson, what a story.
Bo knows. He might be the most impressive athletes. I'm a baseball player, and just what he was able to do in two different sports and be as good as he was, that's unbelievable to me.
Well, you'd have loved the fact that I remember my freshman year, we lined up playing Auburn, and I was talking smack, and I didn't realize who I was talking to, and it was Frank Thomas. He was a tight end. Oh my God. By the end of the day, I was trying to get on the other side away from him, man.
Patrick was the big hurt.
Big hurt was for real. Big hurt was for real.
Hey, Pat, who was your biggest rival? Who was your biggest rival? Who did you hate the most out of all the rivals?
Florida State. You could say Georgia, and everybody talk about the cocktail party and all, but Florida State was our biggest rival, because it was in state, and at that time, Florida State was balling too, So, we had UM, but most of the guys on UM team, we were all partners. So, we played hard against each other, but, it wasn't a rival. It was more of a competition. But rivalry-wise, Florida State, we really did not like Female State University.
I like that name.
So that was Miami was almost like competition, respect, a rivalry out of respect. And Florida State, like they say, no love lost there.
None lost at all. I mean, the guys at UM, man, we used to hang out together in the offseason. We had a lot of respect for one another. And I always joke with them. We taught them how to play the game because, they wasn't doing as well. But when they got it, they got it. When Jerome Brown them start balling, Blade Brown, they got it, and they played very physical. They didn't care about what you thought about them, and that's how we played. We didn't care what you said. We were gonna play, and you gonna know that you played us on Saturday down in the hole or whether we were on the road.
What was your best game personally? You think your favorite game?
I think Mississippi State. We had Lonzo Johnson that had got suspended, and so they moved me to the other side in his position, and I had a pretty good game. But I can also go back to my freshman year when we played Tulane. The quarterback was Bubby Brewster. I earned Southeastern Conference Player of the Week that week. So a couple good games. Most memorable game was the first game of the year when we played USC. Running down the field, making the first tackle on kickoff. I mean, it's a lot of different games. Auburn, up in Auburn. We go to play Auburn up there. I think we were ranked high, number one, and we get there in the locker room and they got the AC on. It's like 60-something degrees outside, and they got the AC on. It's like 50-something degrees in the locker room. So majority of us dressed outside because it was warmer. And then we won at Auburn, and a lot of great memories, man. A lot of great memories.
Do you miss that rivalry? It was really kind of already gone by the time that I was, becoming cognizant of Florida football and the rivalries. Do you miss Florida and Auburn playing yearly?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand. I mean, back then it was a different type of football, and so every week, it was run, and now it's pass. So we play Auburn and Georgia back to back, and so here you facing. Bo Jackson, Brent Fulwood, Lionel James, and then you turn right around. You got to go against Herschel Walker, Henderson's. Yeah, I mean that was a man's game then, and so I really think that now it's a little bit more easy. Unless you're playing Alabama, Texas A&M every week, then you got it made a little bit. But back in the day, ISO, toss, you didn't have to worry about the 5 wides or, quarterback throwing it 30 times. They're going to run it 40 times.
They had a position back then called fullback. I don't know if some of your players even know that anymore.
Yeah, and then what about when they played Mississippi State and they still running the wishbone? Auburn ran the wishbone, the veer option. I mean, so you had to learn to be disciplined, and these days it's a little bit different. The offensive game is, really tucking off. Coach Spurrier came in and started throwing the ball all around. The ball coach did that and took the game to another level. But during the time when I played, we wore big shoulder pads and neck rolls because, you had to bang up every down.
What's it? Go ahead, Dan.
So Patrick, I want to ask. Obviously, you were there. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about the allegations, scandal, and everything else that happened, and not asking you to verify or anything else, or to tell any particular stories. But what was it like as a player, at the University of Florida when those allegations do come out? Florida has to vacate the 1984 SEC championship. I mean, a year where Florida could have very easily been considered national champions, and if we're playing the UCF or Alabama logic, let's crown us national champs, right? But what was it like being a player during those times?
Well, I mean, it was disappointing that we, the only thing about it was we couldn't go to bowl games. So, we made sure. Absolutely, we made sure that every Saturday that we won, and that we won in a fashion to where you had to still take notice of us. I know that my junior year that we still finished number 1 in the nation, and we were on probation and we didn't go to a bowl game. Mm-hmm. So, that was the only downfall, not going to a bowl game, but we still played every game. We still represent University of Florida as a whole. And, the only downfall of it is now that they don't recognize what we did. And, and it's sad that, the university doesn't do that. But, we're Gators. And, we put UF on the map because, that 0-10 in 1 year. And then we came back and we started winning. And no one really wanted to play us. And they knew what they were getting. And so, other schools were doing the same thing. They wanted to turn us in. Had somebody on the inside that ratted us out. And, it's unfortunate that we had to deal with that. But you cannot take away the fact that we were still a dominant team. Oh, we had first rounders. We got guys drafted. We still was, guys making All-American, All SEC. Go look at the record. Look at the scores. I mean, University of Miami can say what they want to say, but every year, the first game of the season, they take that butt whooping. You can go in there and play whoever you want to play and win the national championship.
That's
but,
right.
We still stood up and represented University of Florida, and we had a lot of pride with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking back at the roster, and we had a different co-host about a year and a half ago, but Corey, myself, and Ahmad Black, who used to be on the show, we did an all fantasy draft of former Florida Gators, and of that team, probably 15, 20 guys from your time period where we're taken of just some of the best Gators in in school history, and to take you guys from to be really, my mom was there when you guys were 10-1. She remembers that vividly, right? To you guys, ultimately, shouldn't win or should have won the national championship. Just 5 years later, just really shows, the improvement that was made, and really, like you said, did put Florida on the map. And I think it was Bear Bryant that said that Florida was a sleeping giant, and you guys awoke that giant, and set the standard for where we're at now. So, I mean, that's got to be something really cool to hang your hat on, at least.
Yeah, very much so. And we know what we did, and everybody else do, and that's all we can hang on to.
We talked to Lomas. Lomas Brown was Mr. Two Bits, and we talked to him a little bit, and he shared that sentiment, the same thing. He said, the stuff that we had to deal with wasn't even stuff that we did, and he doesn't feel like you guys get the credit or the acknowledgement from the university.
Now, I think that they're penalizing young men at the time for what adults did. What I'm saying? And you penalizing guys who came to your school, gave it all every day. That's that old saying, blood, guts, and tears. I mean, we really represented, even when we were on probation, we still represent University of Florida to the fullest. And I just think that, we tried to get a petition signed and sent letters for get them to just acknowledge the fact of, us being the SEC champions, and we didn't get anywhere with it. But it's sad, because, and I say this very openly, and I say to anybody, I don't care what team you put out there, I don't think they could have matched up with us during that at the time. We had athletes that could play, and unfortunately, we just didn't. We're being held accountable for something that adults did, and you're holding it against young men at the time. We were really still boys, you know what I'm saying? Not calling nobody a boy, but as age-wise, we were not mature, and so, but we did play the game of football to the fullest and represented UF.
Let's be. I want to ask you. I mean, you got to see all like the growth of UF as well. You guys kicked this all off. You guys were the anchor of this whole thing, that era. You went on probation, but you got to see the Spurrier era. You got to see a little Zook, and you got to see Urban, and then you got to see where we're at today. What do you think about the maturation of the logo, man?
Well, I think it's still the University of Florida. You know what I'm saying, and it's unfortunate that Dan had, some rough times, and but I don't put all that on Dan. I also put that also on, the whole makeup of college football. Everybody's not fortunate to have what, Alabama has. They have one of the greatest leaders and guys that understand how to get it done. And what he does, not on the field, but off the field, is just great. And people don't know that. People don't know what Nick does off the field, and that's the biggest thing. And that's where people don't understand. That's where the downfall comes. You just having those other coaches that are not related to football present to be able to help those young men grow, and also understand what is 5 years from now. And I just think that our brand has to continue to grow. I'm excited about, what they're doing with Coach Napier and what he's doing. Look at how he's hiring and what he's hiring. And I think we can get back to what it is. There's no reason in the world that we don't have the recruits that we need to have. You got a great university. It speaks for itself education-wise. I think that, the new complex is going to help us, but we also got to get back to being physical and understanding that what, that brand is. That brand was built on toughness. And, you come down in that, they call it, the swamp now. We call it the hole. You come in the hole, you ain't climbing out. And that's what we got to get back to. It's got to be, some guys got to come in that's got to be more hungry. Got to quit thinking about what's down the line. You got to take care of business right now. And, God will bless you if you're going to the NFL, but you got an opportunity to come to college. Take every advantage of it, every opportunity, and protect that brand, and that brand, like I said, it's about being physical, being fast, being nasty. And I think that's what they got to get back to, you look at the teams that won, they were very physical, very fast. I don't think we're very physical right now. I don't think we're as strong as we need to be. So, but hopefully, Billy's going to do a great job. He's going to have to support him and give him time, and everybody else going to have to give him time, because we playing catch up, and that ain't going to happen overnight. So all these people who get mad because you lose a game, hey, when you play in the game of football, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. I don't care what it is. So, but it's how you play the game, So let's get back to being physical.
I love it. Well, Pat, appreciate your time coming on today. I do want to talk about what you're up to now. Obviously, you're in the high school coaching ranks. You've been a head coach. You've been a defense coordinator. Talk to us a little bit about how you got into coaching. I know you're in the NFL for a bit, but how did you get into coaching? And then, tell us a little bit about, your style and all that kind of stuff. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I got into coaching after I finished playing in the CFL. I was home. I was at a high school basketball game, and Rutherford High School had just hired legendary high school coach Steve Harden. And he just told me, he said, hey, you're going to be coaching for me, and you're hired. And he didn't give me the opportunity. So I got into coaching at Rutherford High School. And, from there, I moved around a lot. And, I was at Santa Fe High School with Bill. And we did some good things there. Lost the rings in the regional championship. Moved over to GHS, worked with Mark Lasco. I had some good teams there, and I got an opportunity to be the head coach there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Now I'm in Panama City, Mosley. We just finished the season 11-2. We lost to Pine Forest, who lost in the state championship game and the regional championship. That team, Mosley, hadn't been to the playoffs, that far since my senior year. So it was just an outstanding year. We had a great group of young men, and they bought into what we bought. And I told my guys on defense, you got to take on my personality. And my personality is being very nasty and very physical. No respect for no one. If you're on the field, we got to hit you. Like in the movie The Titans, hit everything that move. And hey, get a 15-yarder, that's okay. We'll get tackle for a loss and get it back.
There you go.
So that's my style. I'm bringing pressure. I like to play man to man. I like to mix it up, but we're gonna be physical. And that's, if you can't be physical, you can't play for me. I'm gonna move over to the other side of the ball, because on my side of the ball, we got to be physical. That's my style.
I love it, man.
You, I don't think you were head coach, but I think you were the defensive coordinator when Chris Thompson was there. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I was over there on the defense side ball, and Chris there. Yeah, Chris and well, no, actually, when Chris and Keith Kelson and Ralph Webb, no, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was at Santa Fe during that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at Santa Fe during that time with Bill Wiles. Yeah, and then the year after that, that's when I moved over to GHS.
Okay. I was gonna tell. I was close with Chris. I was gonna say there's a reason. If you were the DC, there's a reson Chris wasn't playing defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but
was,
Chris and them used to come to my house every Saturday because Big Keith Kelsey, we were real good friends, and they used to come over to our house. We used to tailgate every Saturday and eat. So I used to spend a lot of time with those guys. Yeah, I used to mess with Chris all the time about that.
Chris was too fast. He didn't like getting hit, and that's why he was fast. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty boy.
Tell Chris he's too pretty to play defense. You stay over there, receiver, and do your special teams.
But then when he got to Texas, hey, Chris was running down there knocking the fire out of people on the punt team. I was like, all right, I see you, boy.
You rubbed off on him a little bit there.
Hey, I'm glad I did.
Pause. Whoa, fellas.
Hey, Pat, before we let you go, one of our followers, Zach Williams, said that you were the first man that he ever got to coach under. He's a great coach, an even better man. So a guy that's singing your praise on the Twitter streets.
Tell him I say I appreciate that, and God bless.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, I know you're on Twitter. I know you're doing the social media thing. Let everybody know where they can follow you, and then we'll let you go. And thanks for your time this evening.
Enjoyed this interview, Pat. Appreciate your time, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all inviting me on anytime. I'm always welcome to come out and talk Gator football and high school.
I'm gonna have you back on during the season when we got spotty linebacker play. I'm gonna get
all right.
have you back on here.
I might be good for half a play, but that's about all I can give you. Hey, they can follow me on Twitter at GatorBoy98. Pat Miller, that's my handle. I'm always gonna be a Gator, regardless of what it is. So yeah, GatorBoy98. That's me on Twitter.
I love it. Well, Pat, we appreciate your time, my friend. Have a great rest of your day. Have a happy holidays, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, happy holidays to you guys too, and God bless.
Thanks
so much, Pat. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Go Gators.
Go Gators. Pat Miller, for those of you that don't know, considered one of the best defensive players in UF history. They do those lists of top players to ever wear a certain jersey number, and every single time you look at the number 98, Pat Miller's number and name is there. So
I don't think his Twitter ad is GatorBoy98.
It is with an I. Boy.
Oh, okay.
Boy.
Wait, whoa. Run that back, Daniel.
Gator Boy.
Oh,
98. All right. Boy. All right. We got a lot to talk about, boys. Before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Visit them, homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale, all one word, and you can get 15% off your order. They just announced the other day that they're going to be doing a basketball line. They're going to be releasing 6 schools. Don't know what they are, but they are bound to be great. Visit them, homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale. I know a number of you used it for the holiday season. I know that I did. So again, homefieldapparel.com. Best vintage products out there. Let's quickly get over this football game. The Gators do lose the Gasparilla Bowl in beautiful Tampa, Florida. 29-17 against the Central Florida Knights. The Gators go up 10-9 going into halftime, ultimately lose the second half in a game that just didn't seem all that close once the ball kicked off in the third quarter. Nick, you were there. Were you able to find your old fashioned after the game, by the way? Your text message at 1:45.
You might have needed. You needed an old fashioned after that one.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting over a cold, I think, from Tampa. I was not able
might
to.
Be the Omarion variant.
The Omarion variant.
No, it was. I picked UCF before the game.
Got that R&B COVID. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
I got an icebox where my heart used to be.
That's right.
I picked UCF. I didn't think so. I wrote a story right after Florida State because I heard that the administration didn't want to accept a bowl game. They wanted to just cut ties, start fresh, new regime, get it over with, and that the players pushed back on that and they wanted to play in the game. Leading up to it,
last time you listened to them.
Leading up to it, I didn't see a lot of that being shown. There weren't a lot of practices. Florida practiced, I think it was 6 times of the allotted 15. Granted, you had finals week. The game was super early because it was one of the worst bowl games to go to. So there wasn't a ton of time to get 15 practices in. But
I don't feel like that's ever been a problem. I mean, I can see them maybe not getting 15, but I can definitely easily see 12 or 13.
I mean, they're all college students, so every school's doing exams. Everybody has the same.
Yeah, everybody's doing the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, just like I said, didn't feel like Florida was super invested in the game. I get that the guys want to be in it because you get to go to Tampa for a week. You get a bunch of, they had a beach day that was planned, but ended up being canceled because of rain. But there's fun events and you get a bunch of free stuff. Like there's a bunch of reasons a college kid would want to go to a bowl game.
and especially one in Tampa. Yeah,
that aren't playing the actual game. So I got a feeling from talking to people inside the program that, hey, this team might be looking for a reason to fold, and at the first sign of adversity, it might be over. I think that sign was Tyrone Hopper getting thrown out of the game for shoving someone that wasn't a punch, and talking to his dad. The dad said that he was the other guy, the guy from UCF, spitting his face into his face mask, and he shoved him. I don't know if sometimes the guy that throws the first punch isn't the one that gets caught. But I think that was the turning point for Florida. It was a really bad game. Wasn't very entertaining in person. Silk, I don't know if you turned it off at any point and enjoyed your Thursday night in Atlanta.
No, man. I was driving up that day. And the wife. I had a nice R&B playlist going, man. And I thought about, first of all, YouTube. No, Mario, no Icebox where my heart used to be vibes. Her vibe is more 90s, early 2000 R&B. But we was driving up, and then I realized I've been watching a lot of TV lately. I realized YouTube TV knocked out all of their like regular channels, so I couldn't watch it on my phone. I wasn't gonna find any way to stream it, so I said, I'm not gonna watch the game. I watched the condensed game if we win. We didn't win, so I didn't go back and watch any of it. I just watched everybody's tweets of complaining.
Okay.
But shout out to that. We had a lot of pass attempts. Broke some records in that. I don't want to deep dive on this game. I wanted it all to be over. I wanted shout out to Greg Knox. I thought he blew his wad. Florida State week. I didn't foresee him.
Pause. That's a pause. But yeah, hey.
Oh yeah, my bad. Wrong show. I thought he did. I thought he let it all hang out.
You know what? Pause. Whatever. What the hell? Just keep going.
Okay.
Woo! I thought he he did his thing Florida State week. I didn't think he could muster up another win, man. I just didn't want to be invested in this game. I want to move on to the new staff. I don't care what UCF think they won. I got an interim head coach with half a staff. A quarterback that posted a picture on Snapchat. I would like to talk about that when we all done.
Yeah.
I just think I wasn't buying it. If AR-15 was there, we beat this team handily. I don't care who the coach. Just like we beat Florida State, even struggling with Emory. Once AR got in, we kind of put it to bed. It would have been the same thing with AR. The talent gap is huge. The coaching gap and want to just wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was a very boring football game. I watched every last second of it, unfortunately, and it was not good. It was undisciplined. It was boring. It was bad. It was you knew that Florida just didn't see. And I don't want to play the excuse that they didn't want it and everything else. Like, I don't ever want to question somebody that's willing to put their life, and body out on the line, like Justin Shorter did, to ever say that they don't want it, but it just didn't look like that fight and fervor was there.
Oh, no, I'll go on the line. Yeah. I'll say the UCF looked like they wanted it at a certain point. That was their Super Bowl, and it didn't look like our guys wanted it like that. And I understand that they didn't want it like that, to be honest with you. Like,
and I don't mind saying that. I just don't want to say that they didn't care, right? Like, there's a lot of people on the internet that say these guys don't care. I think that they do.
Some of them didn't, Dan. Some of them didn't care, and I got that feedback from some of the players in the locker room. Some of these guys didn't give a shit.
You're probably right, and you could tell by some body language that they didn't care win or lose. But I don't want to take that away from those that did.
No doubt.
Regardless of that, I do think that there are some players that played, pretty well. I think that you did see a glimpse into the future, which I think that you can be excited about on the defensive side of the ball. I thought that Derek Wingo, had some good plays. You saw, your first, real action of Scooby Williams, who I thought, at times played quite well. Tyrone Hopper, before he gets ejected, played very well, probably your best linebacker, in the game. I thought that Gervon Dexter played quite well. Brenton Cox, he played pretty well. Rashard Torrance, I thought, did quite well. So there's I think that there's a reason for excitement on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, we got to press that restart button. We got to take the cartridge out, blow it in, put it right back into the Nintendo 64, don't we, Nick?
It was someone on our message board pointed it out. I don't know who on Florida's offense outside of maybe Anthony Richardson, potentially Xavier Henderson, if we're starting to reach, like really scares you. And I don't know going into next year. I mean, like, is Trent Whittemore the best receiver Florida has coming back? Like, who on Florida's offense really will strike
I don't
fear
think we'll
in a
know.
defense's heart next year?
I think everything is just so suppressed talent wise that we don't know what's on this roster. In lobsters, like we seen Tyrone Hopper kind of pop out last night. We're just like, what the fuck this kid been all year? I think there's a lot of more there on that roster. I think Bowman's gonna be still good. I don't think Bowman's just forgot how to play football running back. I think Linger and Bowman still have top end speed that they could use. Receiver position is a little tricky. I think we got some talent there. We've been raving and bragging about how well Billy has done these few years of bringing stars in. So the potential and the recruiting has been there in the receiver room. It's all about like development and letting the best players play. I like Burke, the young boy out of Jacksonville. I think he has some big play potential. I could go down to Ross. I really don't have it in front of me, but we got some guys that can play football. I think the trenches is our biggest issue on both sides of the ball. I think we need some defensive tackles. I think we need just depth and more quality at the one spot on the depth chart with our offensive line.
Yeah, no, the defensive line of Central Florida dominated Florida for a lot of the game. And, you know, it's a lot of those same names that we've called out on the show that we probably won't have to anymore. But it's a lot of those same names and same numbers that we heard of. You know, my concern is what's beyond that we haven't seen. You know, we are excited about what Gerald Mincey could potentially be. You know, he's gone, you know, to Tennessee now. So Florida absolutely has to go into the transfer portal, which I know is not a place that you want to be seeking out guards, linemen, and centers, but that's absolutely where Florida's got to be. And it showed, you know, Florida's getting dominated by undersized, you know, defensive linemen from Central Florida.
We also lost. I guess we'll talk about the label. We lost Copeland, who was a potential playmaker at the wide receiver position. They do got to go find some more talent at the skill position spots. Of course, we're not Bama, we're not Georgia. We don't have like the explosive players that they have to compete on that level, but we have some guys. The trenches right now is our biggest issue.
Is that talent? Is that are the guys smaller, not physical? Like what is it? Is it a combination of things?
Well, he naturally recruited big ass guys at offensive line. So Hevesy like his guys bigger. So I don't think size is going to be a problem. I think the lack of talent and development. We've been getting guys that take 4 or 5 years to develop. That are project guys. And I think that's going to show. I don't think the new offensive line, Rob Sell and my man Stapleton not gonna be happy with the projects that Hevesy left them. That's cool for Hevesy when you don't want to recruit and hustle on the trail. I'll develop these guys, but new guys coming in, they're gonna find out real fast that they gotta go find some bodies in the offensive line. It's gonna get wicked.
Yeah, no, baby. Florida's got to find bodies everywhere. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. You know, Florida is able to grab Jack Miller from Ohio State, you know, former third string from Ohio State to come transfer to Florida. He's going to obviously, you know, try to get his opportunity to shine at the University of Florida. You know, but Florida's got some question marks at, you know, running back. I think they're okay. They're definitely going to need, you know, an additional body there. You know, going into next year, they'll have Naquan Wright, Lorenzo Lingard, who put out some questionable tweets after about, you know, his opportunity on DeMarcus Bowman. So you probably want to have at least another body in there. Your offensive line's a completely new rebuild. And then at wide receiver, I mean, Silk, you mentioned it. You have some talent, but you don't have a lot of proven, you know, value there. And then, you know, the tight end position, you know, Kamori Gamble, you know, puts out a comment, says, yes, I have more eligibility. No, I'm not sure.
Nobody
where that's going to be. Yeah. but still, so you have him, you have, you know, a lot of question marks at tight end. By the way, Gage Wolf.
Shout out to Gamble. I like Gamble, but nobody asked him anything. Like, are you still like it's just,
bro? You're being so loud. Nobody asked you anything.
Yeah. Go Gators 6134444 probably did, but no. I mean, you just have a lot of question marks everywhere on the offensive side of the ball, and for a guy that was known as an offensive genius and a QB whisperer, there's a whole lot of whispers about the talent that Florida has on this roster going into next year.
I think we all question that like weekly. Whether it was like taking kids with bad grades that couldn't qualify, just whiffing on the trail. We've been questioning. I think the defensive side of the ball has been recruiting better over the years. Defensive tackle is a whole. I think linebacker development has been an issue, but as far as recruiting, on defense side of the ball has been out recruiting the offense side of the ball for a little while now.
Nick, thoughts?
You wouldn't notice that on the field. Like we cut on the tape, Dan was just a better schemer than Todd Grantham. So you couldn't really tell the difference, but the linebacker room has been full of talent. The secondary has been a little suspect, and also the defensive tackle, but other spots, defensive end, I think we've been very good at. I don't know what's the status of Summerall, but defensive ends and linebacker have been spots that we've been pretty good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just put like the scholarship, the chart up, and when you're looking at like Summerall, like it makes sense to stay. Like Brenton Cox probably has one more year.
Such a tweener, man.
And
they recruited so many tweeners, and that's our biggest issue right now. All these guys don't really have a true spot. They're just such tweeners. I'm sorry, Nick.
Summerall's still kind of a tweener too. I mean,
yeah,
you've been on campus for 3 years, and I mean, I get it. He's like 6'6", right? 6'5", 6'6". It's tough to put weight on that kind of frame, but when you look at him, like he doesn't look like
eating Lunchables.
Yeah, Jamaican bacon, not putting the weight on. There are a bunch of guys. Like I think you've got talent. Like you look at safety. Or I guess corner, Trevez Johnson, depending on how they're playing, and there's so many other things. I think Rashad Torrance, Mordecai McDaniel, I think those guys can have a role. I think Donovan McMillan's a guy that can have a role. Corey Collier took a red shirt this year. Kamari Wilson is going to be on campus in a couple weeks. I think Devin Moore will be on campus in a couple weeks. Jordan Young's a guy who had a great spring. Like there's talent on defense.
What's my other guy name that's the safety on campus already? Been getting a lot of hype about him.
Who?
Not Wilcox, and the other guy that came in last cycle.
Drawing
a blank.
Jason at safety?
Yeah, safety.
Corey Collier. I said him.
Not Collier. I'm forgetting his name. Not McDaniel either. McMillan. That's his name.
Yeah.
You said his name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's another guy at safety. I don't know where. I mean, Collier still needs to add some weight too. When you look at him, he kind of looks the same as when he came in. At least in my opinion, my uneducated opinion.
I mean, they have him listed right now at 6'1", 176, which is just 5 pounds heavier than Finley Graham.
Yeah, they both kind of look the same size. But Finley was throwing hands after the Gasparilla Bowl. I don't know what was said or what happened. Vernell Brown and a couple coaches had to physically remove him from the field. But anyway, back to Finley Graham. The boys were scrapping after the game. So
shout out to Finley Graham, man. Like win the game, let's win the fight.
Yeah. But looking at it, like at edge, you've got Brenton Cox, Lloyd Summerall, and Antoine Powell. Like that's those are your edge guys.
And I was kidding.
I think Tyreek Sapp's a guy that can play with his hand in the ground or play that that buck spot. Justice Boone's another guy that I'm excited about. But are they ready next year, or are they guys that you're not going to really see make an impact until 2023?
I think that this roster is going to be very different next year, obviously beyond just those that are graduating and everything else. I think that you're going to see a lot of transfer portal movement over the next couple of weeks. I think that we're just getting started on the number of names that are in the portal now. I think that there's going to be a lot of portal names added, after the spring semester too, both of early enrollee freshmen as well as, folks that are looking to make a move for a variety of reasons. But I wouldn't be surprised if, Florida signs a class. I think Connor last week said he expects the Gators to probably sign 16 or 17 high schoolers, maybe more, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see a roster of maybe 35 plus new names on it next year.
That's a lot of names.
That's a lot of names. Yeah. I mean, now that I said, but I would say 30. I don't think that 30 is out of a stretch.
30's high because like you're at
You have
9
one.
right now. You're at 9. Call it 10 with Jack Miller, right?
Okay.
So I'm including the recruiting class as well. Do you even get it? Do you even get to 20 in the recruiting class? I don't know if you do.
Well, no. Connor last week said probably 17, 18.
And then 13 in the transfer portal to get you to 30. That's a lot.
I don't think so. Over the course of really you have obviously your high school signing period, but you're going to have, I would imagine, probably 3 or 4 people come in the next week, probably or 2 weeks via transfer portal.
Sources, bro.
No.
Sauces.
No, these
Sauces.
this is 100% conjecture. This is just my
this is getting a takeoff.
Yeah, this is getting a takeoff of, I think that you're going to probably get at least, you already have Jack Miller, so probably another name or two, that might get thrown in there. And then I think over the course of, the spring semester, I think you could easily add 10 new names over the next 8 months. Because you have winter, spring, and summer to add those names. I don't think that that's unrealistic to think that Florida averages 4 people per plus a recruiting class. Now Nick's thinking about it, and
no, I still think your number's high. 30 is high.
Ben, keep us accountable, buddy.
Yeah, hey, bro, that's great content for Gators Online. Give us 30.
All right, we're not
stuff to write about.
But we're not gonna do escape past the Emory Jones. I don't know if it's Snapchat, Instagram. I can't keep up with the socials.
Look like Snapchat.
Shout out to Patrick Miller. I'm with him. I can't keep up with the socials. I don't know what it is. But he had a IG pretty much saying he threw the game because the fans wanted AR. Is what the Instagram screenshot insinuated. What do you guys vibes about that?
Do we have a timestamp on that? Was that from after the game?
For sure. That 100% after the game. I've done my extensive research.
100% that was after the game.
100%.
And the screenshot that was sent it's a reply picture because they blocked. You could tell because they blocked out where the person's name was. They blocked out a couple things. So what was said to garner that reaction? Because sometimes somebody says something flawed to you, and you just go over the top, knowing how to hurt them. And if a Gator fan is calling you a name or saying something crazy to you in your Snapchat, all right, well, I'll just tell them I threw the game, and that'll piss them off. And then all of a sudden,
but I think the only thing that Emory Jones had going for him was a good teammate. I'm not gonna say like personally or like his future. But I think the best thing he had going for him in this scenario was the good teammate, the friendship with AR. Those guys are in it together. All that kind of just get threw out the window with the bathwater and the baby. In that scenario, even if it's a fan that's saying that, I think like at that point you got to be a little bit more wiser. And if you are going to reply back with something nasty, not involve AR-15. I didn't like the way that looked. I thought like for a kid that's entering the transfer portal, he should have been a little bit more wise. I think with how he handled that situation. I don't know if it affects where else he goes, but I definitely look at him a little different with that response of whatever he was responding to. But he is human, but you just gotta be a little bit more wiser than that. And then if AR is your friend, you can't throw him under the bus or involve him into any conversation with that.
I mean, obviously there was a reason somebody leaked that out, right? I mean, I see both sides. Nick, obviously, I'm sure the person that leaked out that Snapchat was probably said something to get under his skin to garner that response. And, he tweeted or that person shared, that screenshot, with, obviously an intention in mind.
Right.
Silk, I totally get your point as well. But, I think if, Emory wanted to turn off schools, all they had to do was watch the game film for a couple hours before,
Yeah, he just didn't do himself any favors. That's what I'm saying. Like the game film for the UCF game or any other game this year hasn't been that great. No matter how they try to spin it, it hasn't been great.
Do you think, Silk, sorry to interrupt, do you think that Emory is a Power 5 quarterback transfer? Like if you're a Power 5 school, do you go after Emory Jones?
No, I think
a group of 5? I mean, is he an FBS?
Group of 5. I think like even like a program like UCF, USF, probably a good spot for him. Obviously he has tools. I think most of his hiccups are like Frank is like mental. It just didn't look good. Like in the
No,
last
it
few occasions I've seen him come out, it's like he gets worse every week. I don't want to harp on it too much because it's somebody else's issue now. But to me, it looked like he got worse every week, and I thought like I don't want to go back and harp. I got all my takes are gonna be about previous past stuff, and I don't want to go too deep on that.
Yeah. Nick, your thoughts?
Sorry, I had to update. Shane Graham is leaving, so I had to update that on.
No, where's he going?
Just leaving Florida.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can see some improvement at the kicking position.
Kickers are weird, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've had multiple punters say that on the show. We've had multiple kickers on here that would disagree, but it was a bad display of kicking the other day, Nick. Actually, it was a bad display of kicking all year.
It was a bad display of coaching. You go for it on a fourth down.
Well, he also kicked the ball out of bounds on a kickoff too. So
that's not good. That's not coaching. You go for it in a weird spot where you could have kicked a field goal. Then when you know that your kicker's range is not 50 plus yards, you try a 51-yarder instead of either punting it or going for it on like a 4th and 3 at the time. Interim guy Greg Knox was not in his bag.
Yeah, special teams coach Greg Knox.
What?
Yeah, he got caught with the pants down.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah,
that was more Stadium Miguel.
Yeah. But Nick, back to the question: do you think that Emory Jones is a Power 5 quarterback next year? Do you think he's a Group of 5 quarterback next year? Do you think he's an FBS quarterback next year?
Yeah, I mean, you're being silly saying he's not an FBS quarterback. I mean, shoot, with all the realignment, you can go to UCF and you're a Power 5 quarterback because it'll be in the Big 12. I don't know when, if that's next year or soon. Yeah, soon. But you'll be in the Big 12. So yeah, he's a Power 5 quarterback. I don't think he's an SEC caliber starting quarterback. But there's Rutgers is in the Big 10. I don't think. Not saying he's going there, but I'm saying there's some really bad, when people are saying, hey, he's not even an FBS quarterback, like there's some really bad Power 5 teams that would love to have Emory Jones.
Yeah. I mean,
love to have him.
Yeah. I don't know Rutgers roster enough to say if he has a spot on Rutgers roster next year, but I don't think that USF would be a bad spot for him, to be honest with you. I mean, I know USF is a team that struggled. They have the former offensive coordinator at Clemson as their head coach, Jeff Scott. He did quite well with Deshaun Watson. I think that there's some similarities in skill set, not calling them in any stretch of the imagination the same. Not Deshaun Watson, the one that ended up transferring to Missouri and playing. But yeah, Kelly. But long story short, I think that, it's probably best for him, especially Silk, you mentioned his mentals. I think that he's got to go. He's got to go somewhere else. He's got to change the scenery. I think it'd be impossible for him to, obviously I know he's in the transfer portal, but to ever even return back to Florida. I think they just got to go far, far away.
Yeah. Fresh starts for both parties involved.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't already entered his name into the portal. Obviously,
I thought it was already in. He announced that he was transferring, though.
He told Pete Thamel. The story was written and it was kind of a poorly kept secret, at least among the writers, that he would be leaving. I don't think it would surprise anyone. I think it would be more surprising if he stayed than if he left. And then he told Pete Thamel that he was leaving. Obviously, we're going to ask him about that the first chance we get. So we asked him about it after the game. He doesn't want to talk about it. But I fully expect he will enter his name into the transfer portal. We just haven't seen it happen yet.
Yeah.
I think it's surprising.
The Gators did also line up at wide receiver. So you mentioned Jacob Copeland, who announced just a day after the game that he was transferring to Maryland, joining Mike Loxley, who I believe recruited him to Alabama, back during his high school time. So he'll be joining that receiving core, which from the basic research that I did is got a pretty good receiving room. So Jacob Copeland will go with a new change of scenery in College Park, Maryland.
Hey, go get that Loxley bag, huh, Silk?
Hey, man. Shout out to Mike Loxley. Great folks at Maryland. I hope it works out for Copeland. Another guy that I think that's just a fresh start, man. Both parties involved. I wish it would have worked out better, but I just like a lot of the. I'm not happy. I'm here at UF. Stuff got old, so just it's good for both parties involved.
I was ready for Copeland to leave. Nothing for what Copeland did, but just the constant overreaction from the fans.
Yeah, 90% of the fan base blocked.
Over every tweet that he would have that would come out. It was, what does this mean? Does that mean he's unhappy? I'm like, I don't know, dog. He has 3 catches on the year. He's probably unhappy. Yeah. Maybe it's about a girl. Maybe it's not about football at all. But every tweet, having to deal with a message board, like 20 questions. What does this Copeland tweet mean? I'm like, I don't know, man. And now I'm glad that those days are over.
Yeah. Take your personal messages down a notch.
Yeah, I think for him a good change of scenery. I think taking some time off the social media would probably be good for him. But if you're a Maryland fan listening to this, just if you get blocked, it's not personal. It just is what it is. We didn't talk about it on the last show. Chris Bogle announced his transfer to Michigan State. We've already mentioned Gerald Mincey to Tennessee a few weeks ago. I don't think that I'm missing anything else. There's no new news on Mahmoud Diabate. There's no new news on Lloyd Summerall. I believe that
shout out to Mahmoud. I saw him down on the field at the Gasparilla Bowl. Told him that Silk was trying to get him in trouble. He said no. He said Strickland told me to shut my mouth about that in a very certain term, and so I can't talk about the food anymore.
Strickland, you shouldn't be shutting these kids up about the Jamaican bacon. I don't even know how you got an extension, fam.
Yeah. So before we get into that,
we got any more football takes before we get in.
Any other news on the transfer portal side, Nick? Obviously, Florida did add a whole slew of coaches that I want to go over as well. A coach and a whole slew of off the field hires.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Let me pull this up. I didn't have it ready.
I don't need the name of. We'll go over the coaches here in a second. I just meant any additional name of the transfer portal.
No, from Florida side, no, there isn't.
Yeah.
I think there will be names, and obviously there will be more names after spring football. When guys, I think you'll probably see more people hit the portal after spring football, the first spring with Billy, when you're really into his program, because you're going to start getting into Mark Hockey's strength and conditioning program when you get back on January 4th. But once you start seeing how practices are going to be run, how the program is going to be run, what's going to be asked of you on and off the field, that's when you're going to get some guys who are like, yeah, not drinking this Kool-Aid, I'm out. And some guys might be told, hey, you might want to find another place. So I think there'll be more transfer portal news during spring football, after spring football than, from January until March.
Perfect. Well, before we get into everything, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks. Visit them, GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code Stadium, get 10% off. A couple of you all tagged your Christmas presents or your holiday presents were some Game Time Sidekicks cups. Really incredible product, vacuum sealed, stainless steel.
Got a vacuum seal.
Yeah, really an impressive product. A whole slew of products and a whole, cornucopia of schools to choose from. I think they have over 350.
What was that?
Cornucopia.
Cornucopia. Let me write that down.
Yeah,
I like that word.
Yeah, you're a whole cornucopia of schools to choose from. I think there's over 350. There's a lot of new things that they're going to be doing as well, some NIL things, and a lot of different things. So support a Gator fan, support Game Time Sidekicks. Really a fantastic product. GameTimeSidekicks.com, promo code Stadium. All right.
Tough day for me. I left my big Stadium and Gale, the white tumbler that you wanted. So I left that in a car, in the girlfriend's sister's car, which is now in Tallahassee.
Oh, you never getting that back, fam.
I am without my big
you ain't
tumbler.
Getting that back.
If our people are there, I need another one.
Y'all can get it back. I used my tumbler on the drive up, but I had some good juice in it.
Yeah,
some jungle
driving
juice.
Safely.
No, I wouldn't drive. Think about it, like
He wasn't
I
driving. He
didn't
was a
drive
passenger.
up. Yeah, passenger.
Open
next.
container.
Yeah.
Open container. I can afford that ticket. That's not a bad one.
Especially not as the driver, right?
Yeah, that's not egregious. I think the cop should just let me go. Like, you're festive.
Was it that THC? You know what? Never mind. We'll talk about that.
Johnny Walker,
the Gators
bro.
do
Some whiskey.
Ooh.
Nothing too crazy.
Okay.
Wasn't blue,
right.
but it was Johnny.
You know what? Here's my hot take of the day. I don't think that Johnny Walker Blue is worth the cost. I think it's maybe at best second, but in my opinion, third of the Johnny Walker labels. But that's a take that we can save.
Quick,
I was sipping on Green Label, so I want to know what you got.
I do like Green Label more. I think that Johnny Walker. I'll give you my take on Johnny Walker Blue, and this is my opinion.
I'm a Blue fan, so.
This is just my opinion on it. For me, it is far too peaty and far too smoked to be enjoyable for my taste. I think that it is overdone. I think that the taste of the peatiness and the smokiness of it overpower the taste of the Scotch.
I think you can get better Scotch for your buck. Is what
I think so too. I also think at $250, it's not worth it. That's just me. I think it's one of those things that the hype goes before. Nick's sitting slunched back in his chair with a take that I'm sure he's going to fire off. But if you're going to spend $250 on Scotch, I can point you in a lot of different directions.
I don't want to go in the other direction, Dan. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going straight to the blue bottle. But what you got, Nick? What's your take?
No, I have no take. I was just listening. I don't know if I ever even had Blue Label. So I was just a casual listener here.
Nick, imagine tasting a Scotch and then opening your mouth over a campfire and then just sucking.
Oh, that's so much. That's a terrible take. That's a terrible take, bro.
I'm more. But give me Green Label. Give me
it is
Gold
smoky.
Label.
It is smoky, but I like smoky Scotch.
Give me Green Label and Gold Label. Bourbon on a budget. If TJ you're listening, I'll take this opinion to the grave that I think that Blue Label is severely overrated.
Okay, I have no.
I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
No, I think it's appropriately rated, Nicholas. I think it's rated just where it needs to be. I had this conversation with my dad maybe a year ago, and he just said for the price, we were just sharing some Blue Label. He was like, for the price, I just get some better. I can get some Scotch close to this for half the price.
Yeah.
And I get it if you're not that's not your thing. Anywho, we spent a lot of time on this Blue Label.
Yeah. Anyway, don't buy it. So Gators do announce a couple of additional staff members. Now, I could be forgetting a name. I could be adding a name that we've already talked about. My apologies. The Gators add to the strength staff. We'll talk on-field coach last. To the strength staff, Carmichael Dunbar and Edward Thompson. Carmichael Dunbar, my understanding, comes to University of Florida from Louisiana, as well as Edward Thompson, who's joining as a speed coach, joining Mark Hockey's staff, which includes Mark Hockey, Joe Danos, who we announced last week as the Director of Player Athletic Development, Carmichael Dunbar, and Edward Thompson, our assistant strength and conditioning coaches. I don't have any takes on them. I hope that they do well, lift well, and any thoughts on those, that staff as a whole, or any of those new names?
I'm a big man on wordplay. I seen one of the strength conditioning dudes say Swolgers.
Okay.
Swolgers. I like that.
Swolgers.
He said, he's hired to get the Swolgers together. So I was like, I like that word. I like the way he played that.
It. Okay.
Pause.
All right. The Swolgers. Yeah.
Was that Carmichael?
I think that was Carmichael.
That sounds like a Carmichael thing.
It sounds like that's a guy I would hire to train me, and I don't even do trainers like that. I wouldn't hire a trainer personally, but if his name's Carmichael, it sounds like he know what he's doing a little bit.
Shout out to Penny Hardaway on
that's
Twitter.
A big dude.
Penny Hardaway on Twitter took a screenshot of the UL strength staff right when Billy Napier was hired, and was like, "Yo, we need dudes like this lifting weights with the team," and it turned out to be Carmichael.
I thought you were talking about the real Penny Hardaway.
That's what I thought too. I was like,
man from Chicago.
We got to get him on the
Penny
show.
Hardaway on Twitter.
Yeah, shout out to him. My man, we talking about the pancake booties.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta know. Hey, if Penny, if you listen to this, how many pictures of Michael Jordan do you have saved into your phone? Because no matter what the reaction is, like Silk, you tweet out a reaction picture of something in your phone.
I like his commitment.
He has an appropriate Michael Jordan reaction for anything that he's responding to on Twitter.
Well, I think he's Chicago.
He is Chicago
resident, so I think he's just true and blue to the Jordan thing.
I get it. Hey,
true and red.
People,
I'm sorry. Right,
punters are people too. Stick to your shtick. I get it. I appreciate the dedication.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. But I mean, good guys. I mean, again, don't know anything about them. Seem like fine people. Obviously, have been around for a while. I don't remember the makeup of the Gators strength staff. Nick, do you? Of the one before under?
I really don't.
I don't remember. Obviously, this is the first time, and I'll be honest with you. We knew that Florida had a staff. There was times that I would look, off the field staff and other names. This is the first time that we're truly diving into names because these are the first time that we're really getting exposed to a lot of these names. So, Gators do have a staff.
And we didn't know what half of the other people were doing either.
We still don't know because I'm about to name a bunch of other people that I have no idea what they're doing. But we're just going to get our takes off. But
I like the numbers. I like the attempt at I like the Army play. I like the number. I like them announcing every single hire to show that we care about recruiting and we're putting the emphasis on
the way.
What you say? What you say, Nick?
I said new merch on the way.
Yeah, that's right. Coming soon
for the people. Get your drip. Stadium together, drip on the way.
So the Gators. Let's see. I'm looking. Nick Savage.
New drip alert.
I'm trying to see if there was anybody. I don't know. I'll find it. I guess there was. Tanner Maher was a coordinator. Reggie McGrew, former Florida Gators, was a coordinator on strength and conditioning. I guess there was a few people, but not any staff size anywhere close to this. So Gators have 4 strength and conditioning coaches that I can see.
Nick used to roll around like 3 or 4 guys. Nick Savage. I think he had 3 or 4 guys.
No. This isn't a slight at him. I just don't really know Nick Savage and Reggie McGrew, Tanner Maher.
Right.
Matt Delancey, who looks like a guy that has coached strength and conditioning since Pat Miller was at UF, and then Zach Ackenberger was the assistant director of football as well. But first time I've seen UF hire a speed coach. All right, so then from there we go more off the field coaches. Just a couple of names. Marcus Castro Walker, Director of Player Engagement and NIL. Very excited to see what he's got going on. I know that he's already talked with Eddie Rojas and the Gator Collective. I know he's not a super active guy on social media, so there's a lot of question marks about him. Does come from Arizona, was previously, at Nebraska as well, but a former player will be in charge of player engagement and NIL. Love to see that job title. Again, don't know what it means.
Player engagement. Let me try to guess what that is. Player engagement and NIL.
I'll let you guess first, Silk.
It sounds like showing the players how to engage with brands on social media type thing, or how to approach brands is what I'm thinking. Engagement sounds like conversational, right? So I don't know. NIL engagement, I think, is from from a standpoint maybe conversating or a way to communicate your NIL deals on social media. I'm not sure. What do you think, Nick?
I think it's very similar to like Vernell Brown, where they're more dealing with the players. Like, hey, you're having girl problems. Hey, you're having problems with mom, dad, somebody back home. They deal with the person more so than the player. But then I think he's also then, like you're saying, Silk, hey, let's take a look at what you're doing on social media, because that's kind of like, as much as football is your resume, what you're doing on social media is also your resume that you're handing to a brand that you want to work with. So I think it's kind of like what Vernell Brown does in terms of working with the man, the young man, the person, more so than the player, but then also gearing it towards like, hey, everything you do on the field, off the field, on social media is going towards this NIL and kind of an education piece of NIL, because Florida still can't broker deals for players.
Yeah.
But you can educate them on what they're doing, in terms of marketing themselves and branding themselves.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these titles are nebulous at best. I think that there's probably a lot of things that will be that will come out. I'm sure a lot of this has to do with keeping up with NIL deals, knowing who's doing what are opportunities that are out there, what are creative ways to take advantage of NIL that can be talked about, and how do you connect with a student athlete about what they about pricing, about contracts, about probably a lot of the things that come around what NIL is, rather than brokering specific deals. But I do believe, and I could be wrong, that there has been some legislation introduced that would potentially allow the connection of NIL or individual or companies that are looking to do NIL through the university with particular players. So I know that there's a lot of things, when we had Darren Heitner on the show earlier this summer, we talked about a lot of this is still, a gray area. And I think that some of that is being, figured out, but to have a sole representative of somebody you can reach out to in the Florida football athletic department to ask about NIL, or to know about NIL, to know what the rules are, or to have a player, that has questions, be able to have somebody. I think that obviously a huge step in the right direction.
Not a bad thing.
No. So Director of Player Engagement and NIL, Marcus Castro Walker.
I like Billy's approach to the whole NIL thing so far, being very vocal about it, hiring people for it, not shying away from it, embracing what the future of college football is. I just like that whole approach. It seemed like the last regime was too shy about even approaching it or how to approach it. So I just like the approach from Billy on it.
Dan's comments always threw me off about that. He was like, we're worried about like getting arrested. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're not gonna get arrested for anything that's happening, dude. Like, just your players are gonna make some money. Support your players making money. He always had weird comments.
Yeah, like the Fed's gonna pull a kick though over.
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
NIL deals.
I don't think he got it. I don't think a lot of coaches get it. Not just to bag on Dan. I don't think a lot of coaches get it. A lot of coaches don't like it. They don't control these kids anymore. They don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then the Gators do add another assistant for player development, a guy by the name of Frank Ogas. He, former player at Arizona State and was at Louisiana as well, comes over as assistant for player development. Again, if you look at some of these titles, you have personnel analyst, you have offensive analyst, you have player personnel, player development, player engagement, football operations, quality control. You have a lot of names, a lot of functionality. Yeah, so we'll see how these roles do play out. But the Gators now have an announced staff of, doing quick math here, 12 off the field coaches that have been announced. And Nick Silk and I's understanding is it's far more than that that have already been slotted into.
Announce all Billy. I don't care who
it is. Slow drip.
It's gonna be a slow drip. It's like the NFL. The NFL. Remember when the NFL rescheduled their calendar, so they have like a big event, whether it's the draft, rookie training camp, the combine. They've got something on all 4 months where they're not playing football. Billy's gonna drop like a name a day for like another 20-something days, and you're gonna get the rest of this coaching staff and the rest of the Army. And it's going to be a slow drip, but you're going to get a name a day unless it's a holiday. You got two on the day before Christmas.
Billy been dropping us some hints too. Like right before the UCF game, he kind of told us that, hey man, we might lose. I've been going to them 4 practices that they had, and it didn't look good. So I'm gonna drop y'all a little hint on football scoop about these hires I'm about to make, because it might get a little wicked.
He understands the news cycle. I'm learning that pretty quickly. Billy Napier understands the news cycle.
Yeah, and
it's like the angrier the fan base or the worse that the talk is happening, like the bigger the news he drops. Nick Evers and Gibson decommit. He's like, yo, drop that Corey Raymond story, please.
Right. He's got one in the tuck.
So he's got one
He
waiting.
keeps one in the tuck. Even with the speaks, we'll talk about hires, but he got an announcement and he got a news story or something to drop in the tuck whenever there's a bad moment. Man, reminds me of Urban Meyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry.
In that fashion, I ain't trying to say he's next Urban Meyer. People run with stuff, so I want to clear it up.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Silk said it.
That's right. Not sure where I got cut off. I accidentally hit the mute button before I switched screens. But the Gators did announce the day after the bowl game, I believe that's when it was, that William Piegler is joining the staff as the tight end coach. He comes to the University of Florida from a couple of years at Michigan State, where he was their running backs coach. Before that, he was in a variety of roles, including time at Colorado, time at Louisiana, where him and Billy Napier got connected, time at Georgia, Minnesota, high school ranks, and then at Valdosta State, Louisiana, a little bit more, and then at some community colleges. So a guy that is known as a relentless recruiter, a younger guy, graduated in 2010 from Clemson. I think he's 35, 36 years old, but very well known on the trail. Got a couple of Rivals 250 guys from Michigan State in the last class, but it was also instrumental in landing Kenneth Walker II, who was a Heisman finalist from Wake Forest and put up just gaudy numbers for Michigan State this year. Had a really nice thing said about him by Michigan State's head coach when he did leave. But William Piegler is joining the staff as the Gators tight end coach. Nick, I want to get your thoughts, and then Silk, you next, buddy.
Yeah, I think the initial – I don't think they did him any favors with the picture they used, because people were just bagging on my guy because he looked like someone out of an IT specialist. But when you look at what Mel Tucker has to say, when you look at I forget the guy, the running back that was almost a Heisman finalist,
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker from Wake Forest. Found him, got him in the transfer portal. Look at the names he was able to get. Like, this is a guy that can recruit. Doesn't matter if he looks like Dwight Schrute. This is a guy that can recruit. So
he also doesn't look like Dwight Schrute, but
it's
same vibes.
Teach their own. Dwight Schrute vibes.
Yeah,
sure vibes.
Dwight vibes. Dwight, but if Dwight was on the trail, Dwight would be a killer, for sure. I think Piegler was a good hire. We struck out on Sider. I don't think we're on the program in the Big Three. I know we're not on the program in the Big Three. Struck out on Sider. Trying to get a tight end, running back coach to come coach tight end. It looks like Billy was looking for a recruiter more than anything. Piegler himself said he's more comfortable coaching the tight end position, so he's going back to a more natural spot and a more natural recruiting spot and coaching spot. I would think if he's more comfortable with coaching tight ends. But shout out to Kenneth Walker. He did a good job with that fine. He's supposed to be a good evaluator. And shout out to Mel Tucker. I think I've been watching a lot of coaching changes this year. A lot of hires, a lot of people getting poached. Mel Tucker is a guy for just per class. I gave him a good send-off tweet.
Yeah, you rarely see that.
I have not seen that. And I thought that was just per class personified by Mel Tucker. I'm a fan of that guy regardless, man. However it plays out, I think Mel Tucker is a good coach and a class guy.
Oh, absolutely. No, 100% agree. And to have that said about you publicly the day, you have one of your staff members taken, from you is true class, like you said. So I think the Gators are getting a good one. We don't know.
And I do know we're beefing with Michigan State for some recruits.
Yeah.
For some players in the portal, some players we're recruiting against in high school. Shout out to the kid Zion out of Westlake. Just a lot of guys I know we're like recruiting against Michigan State for. And some of my personal friends, we've been laughing about it in our group chat about how Michigan State been squaring up with Billy Napier. And if you do enough Googles and searches on Twitter, you'll see their staff beefing with our staff a little bit about certain recruits. So they don't say names, of course, because they can't. So I thought it was a good get.
A little portal combat going on between Michigan State.
Oh, I'm here for it. So that rounds out the staff that has been announced, but some names that we've talked about Want to quickly run through those. So that gives the Gators right now 6 coaches that have been announced. Patrick Toney, co-defensive coordinator, safeties coach, with an asterisk next to that safeties coach, by the way. Assistant head coach, wide receiver coach Kerry Colbert, assistant offensive line Darnell Stapleton, cornerbacks coach, assistant head coach Corey Raymond, and then tight end coach William Piegler. Now, there's 4 other names that are out there sitting, and we have mentioned 3 of them on this show. So I'm going to go through those first 3. Rob Sale, offensive line coach with the New York Giants, previously coached with Bailey Napier at the University of Louisiana, a guy that almost everybody has slotted in as the offensive line coach, right? Not really much more to say.
Which will be our second offensive line coach because we have Stapleton at one.
Correct. So, and then again, I want to give a shout out to G. Allen Taylor on The Athletic, pontificated on these 4 names. Not pontificated, obviously has information, but was the first one to really throw all 4 names out collectively and had William Piegler before. Chris Rumpf, outside linebackers, again, a guy previously coached with Jim McElwain at the University of Florida, now with the Bears.
The Rump Shaker.
I know his wife was really liked here as well. I know that she enjoyed her time here. I know Chris Rumpf enjoyed his time here with the Chicago Bears. Now, we've talked about him being slotted into a role here at the University of Florida. We weren't sure if it was defensive line, linebackers, where that might be, but that's a name that we've talked about as well. So, again, a guy that I think that you can expect to be announced soon. Another name, Carl Scott, currently with the Vikings. G. Allen Taylor has him slotted in as the co-defensive coordinator, joining Patrick Toney, previously with the University of Alabama, previously with Billy Napier, right now coaching with the Vikings. Carl Scott, a name that we haven't talked a lot about, known as one of the most tenacious recruiters on the trail. But Nick, your thoughts on Carl Scott? Young guy too, 36.
Yeah, it's going to be a young staff. It's interesting to me when guys spend. I want to see how guys do coming back, to college. Like, how are you going to be as a recruiter?
Well, he's only been gone a year, so
right. Was with Bama in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting to me when guys go to the NFL. I wonder. Was it because that's bigger? Like a lot of people that, Dan and I, we all grew up in South Florida. Like we were pro sports fans. It was surprising to me when I got to Gainesville. A lot of people that I met were from Gainesville thought that like college was a better job. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like the NFL is the premier, like if you're a football coach, the NFL is the premier place to be a coach in. So when coaches leave, I wonder, is that the next move in their career? Like Matt Rule, when he left Baylor, he had a really good thing going there, and he leaves to go to the NFL. He's being rumored to come back to college. I don't know if that would happen. It's like college coaches that go to the NFL come back because they failed. I think if you come back, maybe you liked recruiting. Maybe you liked dealing with younger players, guys that weren't making, that aren't making significantly more money than you in the NFL. So I think he's a young guy. I'm interested to see how he'll be as a recruiter and as a coach back in
Carl
college.
Scott, in college. Okay, I like how he mix and matches the experience with a little bit of inexperience in recruiting a little bit. What I do like is I think all these guys could like hold their own recruiting wise, but at defensive coordinator spot, because rumor that Carl may be coming in as co-DC, right?
Yeah.
You got Rob Sell, who some people are maybe questioning maybe his Power 5 experience. Then you offset that with Carl Scott, a guy that's coming from Bama, NFL, can also recruit, and I think Patrick Toney can recruit as well. He's playing video games and landing top-notch kids. When you look at the offensive line position with Rob Sell, you got Darnell Stapleton, a younger guy that may not have all his chops as far as development, and people may question like his years on the job. But then you bring Rob Sell back, a guy back from the NFL that worked with you previously, to kind of solidify that. And I think Stapleton is going to be a rock star on the recruiting trail.
Mm-hmm.
This is a young brother, like just coaching the offensive line. He's played in the NFL, and he looks like from his Super Bowl, like from his social media, he knows what the hell's going on these social media streets. He's young, so I think he's going to be. I just like the balance of how he offset things, man, and he's able to do that because of his flexibility, of course, with the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach position that he's taking on himself. But I do like the way he offset it with the experience with inexperience.
I think offensive line is really where you see that. Still, you hit on that already with Sale and Stapleton.
Yeah, I mean, exceptionally young staff, and then we'll get into the final name there. But I think that Corey Raymond is 52.
He's gonna be the old guy.
Yeah, he's the old guy in the room, right?
Which is not old.
And I think at Florida staff, this past year, that would have probably put him, as a spring chicken on the staff. So, a lot of young names. The final name is a guy that wasn't talked about. I don't think by anybody but defensive line coach Eric Henderson. He's currently the defensive line coach and run game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. Has been in the NFL since 2017, a former NFL player himself. Has been in the NFL with the Chargers from 2017 to 2018, and the Rams since. Obviously, don't need to tell you all of the names that the Rams have put or have produced, but just an incredible defensive line unit. That's a role that I'm curious, what his reason for wanting to jump back from the NFL into college might be. I don't know any of these guys. I don't know their intentions, but that's certainly probably the biggest question mark to me is, a guy leaving what seems to be a very safe role on a very safe staff with some incredible players to come back to the college ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that would round out a very, I think, very good staff, full of experience, seemingly a lot of great recruiters, a lot of proven recruiting ability, a lot of great tactical work and technician work, but a lot of guys that have also never worked together. So there's got to be, some pieces and some components of that as well. But I think that you can say that this staff, the way it's shaping up is quite strong.
No doubt.
Well, with that being said, I think we're getting to the end of the show here. We've got a Manscaped ad read. We did see a couple of coaches, announce their departures. Obviously, you were expected that. Christian Robinson put out a note the other day, thanking his time. Lee Davis put out a note this morning. This is Monday morning, announcing her time. I think the biggest thing, just my thought, whether you like the coach, whether you like the staff, or whether you didn't or not, and there's still people on the other side of those announcements and those Twitter handles and everything else. So
a lot of people who aren't getting paid $12 million to go away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people talk about, what Dan Mullen's making and what these guys that are making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 are making. They'll all land on their feet just fine, but a lot of these other, staff members are being, they've got to move. They've got to go elsewhere. And I know that's part of the role, but still, a lot of them aren't making six figures even that were sacrificing a ton of time. So, best wishes to everybody that is departing Gainesville.
What's your guys' opinion on? I don't see where Q1 Rattler was retained. That's been like quite the conversation on a lot of the message boards about what Rat should have been retained. He's he's a Gator. So what's y'all take on that?
Bro, we're getting fast and loose with these titles. Like, how about director of I have a brick outside the stadium and my picture is all over the walls you're walking in? How about that? That's a title for Rat. I don't get not keeping Rat. Telling him that he wasn't bringing enough value to the program.
I'm apply like if you're listening, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't want no problems. I don't know. That's my guy. What was Rat's title beforehand?
I don't even know what his title
I will look it up while we're talking here. Assistant Director of Player Personnel. The Gators have a Director of Player Personnel right now, Jacob LaFrance. That's
okay, so did he do evals?
Nick,
Like,
that's
what-
probably
like,
a
what
better
was his-
question for you. But I know he was heavily involved, in on-campus recruiting, things of that nature. But I would imagine that he was watching game film or tape. But Nick, you're might be a little bit more in the know.
I know that you gotta watch what you say. I know that Rat
Yeah.
was around the DBs. Obviously, as an analyst, you can't coach him. You can't do anything.
Yeah,
like
not
that.
coaching,
But he's
not
in the
actively
room.
recruiting, just there as a staff.
Yeah, he's in the room with all the DB meetings, cornerback, safeties. He's out of practice watching, and when guys are on campus, when recruits are on campus, he's talking to recruits, actively trying to bring kids to Florida. You can only recruit off campus if you're a coach, so he's limited in that role. But as an analyst, he's someone who was an All-American, played in the NFL. He's a guy that cares. Like, Rat spent so much time doing 7-on-7s with the Rat
Right.
Pack. Like, he's someone who
No doubt.
invests and pours into the guys and is spending his time trying to make them. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand how.
Nick, I remember when me and you, I think Richard Johnson.
That was back in 2013.
there. Yeah, 2013, 2014, we went down to IMG. Him and Gus Scott were coaching. And,
Yep.
I was starstruck to just see the two of them, right? So, I know that he had an opportunity to live out a dream coaching. Moved from Jacksonville, I think he was living in, or over to Gainesville. Moved his life for those 2 years. So, wherever he lands, he's a friend of the show, a friend of, and certainly wish him the best. But I don't see
Except
why.
for Silk.
Yeah.
Except for Silk. Silk was DMing Billy Napier. He got unblocked and he DM'd and was like, "Yo, get Rat out of town."
No. I don't have any. I just seen that as a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know what the vibes was like. We've heard things. There's always rumors out there, like a staff leave. I just don't know what the culture and the vibes was like to have like a real solid opinion about of who should stay. I don't know, like if somebody wasn't doing their job right. I don't know what Billy saw. So I would like, not knowing anything, it would make sense for Rat to be back. Just knowing Rat, being around Rat, he's just a Gator. I think he's always got like positive energy, always just super, just Gator. Like, even when he was doing the 7-on-7 thing, he didn't push any kid out direction, but he was always very pro Gator. So I would like to see him still on the staff, but we'll see what happens. I didn't see a farewell note.
Yeah, not yet.
You'll get farewell notes from the GOATs.
Let's see.
He'll be here when Billy gone.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He'll be around. Listen, unless Billy Napier turns into like a Steve Spurrier or Urban Meyer, wins something, like Keon Ratliff will be.
Unless he's
around.
here till he die. Unless Billy's here till he die, he's gonna be Billy. Like, Rat's gonna be a Gator regardless. He'll be a Gator forever.
Yeah.
Like, these coaches come and go. But I hope Billy's here forever. And I hope they find a way to put Rat on this staff. Who knows? We'll see.
Let's see. Nick, you announced that Shane Graham put out a note. This is just odd seeing all these notes by adults being put out there, but put out a long note.
Save the notes for kids.
Yeah, but these highly edited notes. But he's moving on. Former NFL kicker Shane Graham worked with the Kickers. There's also some question marks about Corey Bell. Nick, do you want to dive into Corey Bell at all?
Yeah, I think Billy Napier wants Corey Bell to stay in the role that Corey Bell is in, and there might be a change of title, maybe a raise, but it's an off the field role. I think Corey Bell.
Strange.
I think Corey Bell. What on field role do you have for Corey Bell?
Well, not on field. Like, I understand you keeping Corey Bell. Corey Bell is an asset. Like,
Yes.
in South Florida, I think this staff is missing some Florida vibes.
Some South Florida flair.
But just Florida. Like, I don't want to get caught up in South Florida. I think Corey Raymond could go down to South Florida and do his thing. But I think we need some Florida like relationships. And I think Corey Bell is a guy that just got relationships down there. You got Jamar Chaney. I think off the field is guys that we could bolster up as far as relationship wise. But I understand you keeping Corey Bell on staff, But if Corey Bell is that important and you're trying to find a role for him to keep him in the position he has, I wonder what it is. Like, why rats? Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't want to dive too deep on it, but it just seems a little off.
Well, I was told right away that Corey Bell and Shane Graham were both told that that Billy would like to retain them. I think Shane has aspirations of being a special teams coordinator, and I don't think that was going to happen, which I think led to his note today.
Not after watching this year.
Well, that's not him. He's just an analyst. He's not coaching. He can't coach. So if you're saying that Shane Graham was
violating NCAA rules,
if you're saying that Shane Graham was responsible for the kickers, then you're saying Florida was breaking NCAA rules, and you're snitching on your team.
I'm just liable. Like, I'm the type of guy. If I'm the new guy in charge, I'm just like, I see the kicking. I'm just like, well, everybody in that department got to go. And they're like, yo, Shane's over there. I'm like, man, Shane can go too. I seen the kicking.
And Corey Bell, I think, listen, like, he can recruit. Like, you can't keep him in an analyst role. You're not using him you're not getting the most out of him. And I think he wants
they
to
ain't
get
nowhere
back
on the style. I mean, the DB coach they got coming in are killers. Like,
so
there's
that's what I'm
nowhere.
saying.
Like,
So
Corey Bell is no slouch. Now, let's keep it in mind. Like, he's a good DB coach, but we got the GOAT, and you got Carl Scott or somebody else coming in. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. So Corey Raymond, Carl Scott. If I'm keeping it a bean,
Carl Scott.
If there's not an opportunity, I learned that from you last week. So keeping it a bean here. I think that there's an opportunity that if Corey Bell, I think you can learn probably from a year of those guys. If there's an opportunity, Corey Bell, I think he's an asset. But like you said, Silk, I think that Key wants an asset too. Very surprised. Outside of that, I don't know any of the other guys, whether they should stay or go. But I think that those are two names that should have definitely stayed. Kelvin Bolt.
Back in that Tampa Wi-Fi, brother.
Bolden is a name.
You're in that hole that Miller was talking about.
You're in the hole.
Oh, geez. Oh, did you lose me? Kelvin Bolden, have you heard anything on him?
Haven't heard anything.
Bolden, he's still here.
He's still working. I haven't seen any notes. Personnel. I mean, if you keep your job, do you got to drop a note too? Or no?
No. Yeah,
sticking around note.
Yeah, so I got Kev, my guy. Shout out to Kev. Kev, you listen? What up, bro? I got you on notifications. I got your notifications on, man. I hope I don't get a note from you, fam.
And, I got to find out who's doing these coaching edits, right?
Listen, bro, you got 112 people inside that building now. You got.
I know. Is
people some work?
Is this Camps doing it?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a terrible job to give a guy from the old. Nah, if I'm Kevin, I turn that proposition.
Who's the
down.
Intern?
Yeah.
Somebody in graphic design.
Because I probably got to do my own soon.
But
that's just that's a terrible position to be in. That's just a part of the joke. Shout out to Kev,
I get it.
But if I'm sitting in that spot, like, I don't want to be doing everybody's note thinking mine's about to come down the pipeline. Like, that's a weird spot to be in. But shout out to Kev.
You think you've already started editing yourself into some photos just in case? Just to have ready? No, it's my understanding. I think, Nick, it's your understanding too that Kevin Camps is expected to stick around.
Yeah.
So I think that he's in. Yeah, he did the Stadium and Gale logo. He's done some other work privately for me as well. Just an incredible graphic designer. Everything that you see elevated. When Kevin joined the team. So hopefully would love to see Kevin around and know that he, is a resident and wants to stay in Gainesville long-term as well.
We just bought a new crib. I seen a new crib on IG. Shout out to Kev, man.
Yeah.
They actually built it. They built the house. Him and the wife. Kev's good. I think Kelvin too. I think both of them are going to be two Stadium and Gale alum. Will be good.
Boys, man.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to go over.
Ventrell Miller announced that he's coming back.
Yes, he sure did.
I think that was huge get. Didn't know if he was leaving, coming, an injury year, but leadership wise, I thought we missed him big time this year. Partner him with Hopper, I think it's going to be real good next year. Wingo, I think our linebacker room is just bolstered up quite a bit with those guys and Miller coming back.
Listen here. I mean, Florida gave up 163, almost 164 yards a game on the ground. You can't tell me that Ventrell Miller playing middle linebacker would not have made that number smaller and would not have made that run defense better.
Yeah.
Can't tell me nothing, Silk.
No doubt. And also, just whispers out there. Kyer is mulling over a decision.
Ooh, that would be
mulling over a decision.
Oh, you sounded.
Let's see how it plays out.
Sounded like you were making a a new fired football coach of America pun there. The way you were saying he was mulling over that decision.
No pun. I like the pun you're trying to use, but I think just speaking to shout out to him, man. I talked to Abe today, this morning. They just mulling over the decision. They getting a lot of late first round, early second round grades. They're intrigued by Corey Raymond, what he could bring to the table. They're intrigued by Carl Scott. Billy Napier is talking some good things. We could get 5 back to go a long way. The way him and Marshall kind of ended the season, get some good safety play, some linebacker play. I think the defense is going to be all right next year. Step out on the limb. Yeah, that's some smoke out there about 5 coming back, man. Y'all boys sit tight.
Yeah. Let's see. That's good news. So Ventrell Miller's coming back. Kyrie Elam, we're going to wait and see. Somebody else announced that they were coming back.
Shorter.
Justin Shorter announced that he's coming back. He did get injured, obviously, in that game against Central Florida. Was released the next day, and fingers crossed for his, continued recovery there. I expect to hear some other announcements. There was a rumor that DeJuan Black was going to be transferring. He put out on his Twitter today that he's not. I don't plan on doing this every week because there's a lot of weird message board rumors that come out, but that one specifically did come out. A few names to look out for in the transfer portal. Jacob Cowing is a guy that received an offer today from the University of Texas, El Paso. A guy that put up just some crazy numbers, really top of college football, joins LSU, Oregon, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Ole Miss, Arizona State, Arizona, and a number of others. A guy that's being sought after by a lot of the big programs, a big time recruit. I think he's 5'10", 175 pounds. But Nick, I know you have some things that you want to share on him as well.
Yeah, 69 catches for 1,367 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Nice number.
First team all conference. As average of 19.8 yards per catch, was second only to Jamison Williams of players who had 50 or more receptions. Our guy over at On 3, Corey, spoke to people in the program. I think a bad sign for Gator fans is that Jacob has a child back in Arizona where he's from.
No problem.
So
we got daycare.
That's a good thing for that child, of course.
Ain't no problem. I don't know. I mean, that's certainly, like, obviously he's in El Paso, which is West Texas, closer to Arizona than Gainesville, Florida is. Arizona State is the school that's offered him. Herm Edwards, shout out to Herm. You played to win the game.
Herm has been getting fired since like May last year, and he's still.
Bro, that's nuts.
Everybody forgot that he was pandemicking.
He pulled a Charlie Pell in 2021, and nobody cared.
He was the whole pandemic. Herm was doing visits and doing regular camps, all type of craziness, and everybody forgot. Shout out to Herm, man. Herm
shout out to Arizona State for not like preemptively firing him either.
Yeah, like holding their ground a little bit. I like it, man. Herm ain't do none of that. They lied on Herm.
So they lied on Herm.
They had to.
They had to.
He still got a job. Those are crazy allegations, man. I don't know how Herm's still employed.
Oh man,
that's insane.
But that's a name I know a lot of people have been asking about.
That's a name. Florida will actively and aggressively go after him. As I mentioned before, like, who scares you on Florida's offense? This is a kid, obviously at a smaller school, but has put up numbers nationally that rank top 7 nationally, top 5, top 2 nationally.
No doubt.
like to hear those kind of things. The Gators are planning a big weekend of recruiting over the next couple of weeks. I believe the 14th is the big weekend. You're going to see some names like Jacoby Matthews, number 1 safety, is going to be visiting. You're going to see Trevor Etienne, Cincinnati tight end commit Danny Lewis.
Trevante, I think.
What?
I think it's Trevante. I don't think it's Trevor.
Trevante, it's Trevor's brother. Or Travis.
I think
brother.
Trevor. I think
It's
Trevor.
two
is
Trevantes out of Louisiana. Trevante Citizen and Trevante Etienne.
I think it's Trevor. Well, on
Trevor?
3,
It
on
is
3
Trevor.
has a list.
It is Trevor.
It is Trevor. Oh, I apologize.
Silk led me down a wrong path here.
Yeah, I got my black names wrong. I apologize.
Anyway, as I was saying, Trevor Etienne, Danny Lewis, and then a number of guys, Caleb Douglas, former USC wide receiver commit, Amarion Winston, former Oregon defensive end commit, and TJ Dudley, former linebacker commit. I think that list is going to grow probably 3 or 4-fold in terms of visitors that you have. But I mean, those are some big names. Jacoby Matthews being the name to obviously highlight the top of that list. Ranked as the number 1 safety in the country on 3 and on the on 3 consensus, which is similar. And we're going to use this moving forward, just similar to the 247 composite ranking. A lot of connection with him in Texas A&M in Texas, but you get him on campus. Who knows what can happen?
Trevante Citizen dropped a NFT with his recruitment in NIL market. And I thought that was very interesting.
That is interesting.
Very dope concept. That I think is going to be the future of a lot of things. But I thought that was very dope. Trevor
Etienne is doing the same thing.
I think you're going to see it a lot more because it's easy and free for the athlete to do, and why the hell not?
I don't get it.
I don't know if it's free for every athlete. It depends on the digital artist you're using, right?
Sure, I'm sure that there's probably you're right. So okay, I am wrong and misspoke by saying that it is free. Absolutely, but there is a chance that it is a low cost or definitely a low. I'll just use the phrase low cost. Reason why not to do it.
I think it's interesting from this standpoint, right? So say you're LSU fan, Gator fan, whoever's into this recruitment, and you buy this NFT, which is an investment. It's not just a collectible or it's a trading card.
Right.
I think you're buying something that this kid could possibly be win an award, national championship, maybe a Pro Bowler one day. If you buy the right NFT, so that thing can age a little differently than anything else in this whole market. But like, I don't want to get too deep in it, but I just think that's a very interesting way to handle your recruitment, especially if it gets into a bidding war.
I think Trevor Etienne was interviewed a couple of days ago that said interest in his NFTs could potentially influence his decision. Not sure
that's
if
he's game, baby.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's if he said what's not supposed to be said, but again, I think that you're going to see more and more and more and more of this, and I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you're going to see over the next couple of years.
You think he said the quiet part out loud?
He did say the quiet part out loud, but what?
No, they did it right. He did it exactly how I'm supposed to do it. Like, bid on it. Like, I'm gonna wear these different jerseys and all these different NFT arts. And then when it's time for me to make my decision, I'll take this into account.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Don't send me emojis. like go buy NFT. Like I don't care about your emojis.
Kebab anymore.
No kebabs, no frogs. Just greenbacks at the NFT website. Spending Bitcoins.
Yeah, Trevor Etienne is down to Clemson, Florida, and LSU. All right. Anything else? Obviously, we'll keep you apprised on what is going on.
Yeah, I want to.
I think that you're going to see a lot of new names, a lot of new additions.
I got one off topic. Shout out to Nick Saban, Will Anderson, who led the nation in sacks, said today with a straight ass face, I still feel like we are still the underdog in this game. I feel like we've been disrespected all year. Alabama Shout out to Nick Saban. Alabama has won half of the last 6 national championships. I cautiously threw out that maybe they've been the favorite in 95% of their games, probably more than that. The locker room is filled with 4 and 5 stars. These guys haven't been underdogs since high school. And somehow, some way, Nick Saban gets his team to feel like they are slighted every season.
I call this the Mayweather motivational factor.
Wild.
I thought
Nick
before
Saban.
every fight Mayweather ever had, he's undefeated, never lost. So you gotta find motivation for somewhere. So every fight before Mayweather, he either beef with his dad, a baby mama, somebody right before a big fight, he always had some drama going on, and there was always somebody doubting him or somebody didn't believe in him. I heard Bryce Young say the same thing, the quarterback for Bama. I'm like, bro, what are you talking? You've been a 5-star since you was like 9. What are you talking about? People that doubted you, dog. Nobody doubted you. The whole world wanted you since you was like 11. So I think that's just like the Mayweather motivational, self-motivational thing, man. You got to find some like imaginary haters, even if you don't have haters.
I mean, I think that proves why he is the GOAT, to be able to tell these 4 and 5-star kids, and
you ain't shit.
Silk, you mentioned it. I mean,
and they believe it.
Bryce Young was the starting quarterback at probably the most well-known quarterback factory in the country, right? I mean, Matter Day is to quarterbacks as St. Thomas Aquinas is to like NFL talent, right? Like it just happens every year, right? So, but that's what makes Nick Saban.
You just made Nick Knight with that shit.
Yeah. As
you could say heritage or something, bro. You say STA, that made his night.
As according to but no, I mean, but I think that's what makes Nick Saban the best of the best, right? And that's what makes great coaches. You know, Urban Meyer did a lot of that too. Nick Saban's that way. You know, it's interesting to see, how that communication, how that the type of person that you recruit and getting those guys to continue to believe that, because I don't think that they're just saying it. I don't think it's lip service or they wouldn't say it. I think that they truly believe that they've been disrespected. Right, and that for some reason they believe that Cincinnati has been. They truly believe that Cincinnati has more respect than Alabama has right now, and that is an incredible ability to convince your kids that that's true.
I like it.
That's wild.
I love it.
All right, so we got a Manscaped ad read, and then you got the song of the week too.
Jingle bell, jingle balls, man. We're past the holiday season. It's too late to get your significant other. Ladies, if you listen to this show, it's too late to get that guy in your life a Manscaped gift package, but you can still take care of that package. Use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. We got the Lawnmower 4.0. Use that thing in the shower. You won't get electrocuted, nothing crazy. Got a nightlight for you if you want to set the mood. And shave on their candlelight dinner. I don't know. Don't look at me crazy, Dan. You never know about how people shave, man. I don't judge people.
That's a good point.
We got the weed whacker. If you got nose hair, ear hair, any weird hair and weird spots, we got the weed whacker that could take care of that. I wouldn't advise for any other spots. Nick probably advise you for some other spots, but I wouldn't. I like to use things appropriately where Manscaped like to put them. Ball deodorant. And it's still cool out, but spring months are amongst us. Keep those balls cool, smelling good, and fresh. Take care of those family's jewels. SG at checkout for 20% off.
Yeah, and free shipping. I think that's a good reminder that during a hurricane season that your Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 does have a nightlight on it or a flashlight on it.
That's a good point.
In case of emergency.
Keep that. Let me write it down for put it in my hurricane season notes.
Oh, man. Well, Silk, you got the song of the week. While you're thinking of that, Nick, any New Year's Eve and New Year's Day plans?
You're muted.
You are on mute.
Hello.
How
long have we been doing this? Dad was going to have the family up since it weren't with them for Christmas, so I'm wide open now. They won't be coming up for the New Year, so my night is wide open. No plans.
Yeah, I don't have any plans.
Not going to stand on any tables at White Buffalo.
Possibly. I know. I just got to call my guy Zika up. Maybe that'll happen.
Shout out to Zeke.
All right.
Dan, what kind of rave are you going to be going to on New Year's Eve?
I think Silk was talking, then I can explain my plan.
Oh yeah, I don't have any. I'll be up in Atlanta, man. So we family and the kids in it. I'm not feeling like going out anywhere, man. I'm in relaxation mode. I want to enter 2022 refreshing, full of good zeal. So I ain't doing nothing. Just chilling here.
Fervor and zeal. Nick, you'll be happy to know that my parents are actually coming up on Wednesday, staying a couple days. We're going to do a little bit of a delayed Christmas. They're going to go home on New Year's Eve. And then I'm going to go to a house party that is going to be rather low key. You'll be happy to know that DJ Pauly D is going to be here in Tampa. Not going to see him.
House party. I'm about to say,
yeah.
It's a low key house party.
Don't have that kind of bread. Don't have that kind of bread.
I don't know, bro. I thought you were trying to flex on
turning down a number of.
I thought he was gonna be in the kitchen on the Bluetooth.
Can you imagine just on the ones and twos in the kitchen?
Bose, Vizio speaker.
Who else? There's an artist by the name of Black Coffee who I enjoy. Will be here in Tampa. Choosing not to go see him either, but all great things to do if you are in Tampa. Oh, CeeLo Green's going to be here too. But
big
also
fan of CeeLo.
Also choosing to stay low key and enjoy some time with my friends.
I'll be honest. New Year's Eve. If I was at home, I would have pulled up on that one. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'll be honest with you. I think New Year's Eve just has outpriced itself, in my opinion. Just like the cost of it. I'm not sure. I enjoy going out. I enjoy, being at these events, but $250, $300 just to get a ticket in. It's just, I don't know. Just doesn't seem worth it after a while.
I feel you on that.
But all right. So song of the week and take us home.
I would play, man. I've been listening to the Russ. You listen to Russ?
Yeah.
I listened to Russ last album, man. He got a track with Jadakiss called Faith. Let me get that one.
Alrighty. Well, same corner, same time in 2022.
Oh, y'all already know the vibes, man. The best Gator podcast in the entire world, man. We back here, same corner, same time.
Hey, y'all have a happy and fun New Year. We'll see you in 22.